Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. If you haven't had your comadre smash that subscribe button, go ahead and have her smash it right now. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to the following patrons: Jon Wick, Claudia, Isaac, Miguel, Let Our Actions Lead Others to Christ, Big Bad 48, Nova, Jack, Michigan Wolverines, Marius, Chevelle 66, Abuelitas Journey, and DAUSHERRERO. This episode right here is going to be about the wildest, mind-boggling, jaw-dropping experiences that I had ever experienced in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, right? While I was employed for 16 years. I worked at two prisons. I started at Sentinel State Prison and promoted over to Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility. Donovan. Man, that's where it all went sideways, right? Let me tell you, I'm just going to start firing off. These are actual events. Actual events. Ready? Just firing off the top. Shit just caught me off guard. 1, Charlie Yard, level 4 SNY EOP, an inmate jumping over the first concertina fence of the level 4 yard, getting sliced up, right? Making it over another concertina fence, getting it, the razor wire, the razor wire, getting stuck in there, and then getting transported to the clinic, the triage treatment area, the TTA, with trash bags on all the limbs because the dude was just leaking, having to go out to the hospital and getting, they said 4-hour surgeries to stitch the guy up with 2 different surgeons. So like, imagine that, right? What that looked like. Oh, we're just getting started, right? Another one. Alpha Yard. You had the good old sergeant doing his job at the computer. He had an inmate sitting right next to him in the sergeant's office, right? The inmate was claiming safety concerns on an SNY yard, on a protective custody yard. That was kind of weird in itself. How are you going to PC up? You've already PC'd up. There's no super PC, right? There is no super PC. The sergeant has a lineup of pictures of different inmates on the computer, and he says, "Hey, buddy, tell me which one of those guys threatened your life." That inmate just took flight. Boom! Cracked that sergeant, right? Finger got stuck on the button. Now you have it. Now you have the 2 sergeants fighting 1 inmate in the office, and the door is shut. Boom! Which is extremely scary. Everybody hears banging on the door, right? The other sergeant is probably concussed, glasses all twisted up. Staff is having a hard time getting in. All right, blood on the floor, right? From the sergeant, mind you. They finally quell the situation not 2 minutes later, right? You got the mental health doctor coming in, telling that lieutenant on that facility, "Hey, are we going to open up yard right now? Are we going to open up your mental health yard? These inmates need their mental health yard." That lieutenant looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Get out. Get out. The blood isn't even dried yet on the floor." Right? Well, Hector, did they open up yard? Of course they opened up yard. It was Donovan, right? We got to get them their mental health yard. Let's keep it going. Another thing that caught me off guard as a young sergeant was walking into the TTA after a domestic violence incident in the cell between 1 inmate and their lover. Yeah, I said it. And seeing that inmate, the transgender inmate, bawling their eyes out, crying, weeping, like, oh my God, right? Like a breakup, a bad breakup. We've all had bad breakups. We know where that person's coming from, right? And the nurse, like, patting that dude on the back, right? Like that inmate on the back, like, "Oh, it's okay, girl. Like, you can find a better man. Don't worry, you deserve better." And I'm like, I think I made a mistake, right? I think I made a mistake, right? We're going to keep it going. Other things that used to catch me off guard were the seagulls. The seagulls It's San Diego. It's beautiful weather. You got the beach. But they would get stuck in the concertina wire, right? Like that inmate I just mentioned. And they would bleed out. That kind of weird. That kind of like always sat different with me. Like, man, poor animal, right? Poor bird, man. It's dying. It's bleeding out. It's stuck. That happened quite a few times. It'd just be bleeding out right there. Depending, we would either call maintenance, plan ops to come and take it down. Sometimes an inmate would take it down for it. It was just, I didn't like it, right? I didn't like it. I have a soft spot in my heart for animals, for sure, right? I think dogs are the most loyal thing on the planet, by far. With that being said, dogs, here's a good one. Pooch program, the dogs, right? But this is good. They do have the program with the dogs. The inmates have the dogs in their cell. The dogs are being trained for post-traumatic stress disorder people, medical condition people out on the outside. So, they give them their little treats. They have their little poopy bags, right? A leash. It just kind of looks weird being in a prison system, but the actual cause is a good cause, right? Okay, this one may or may not have happened. You may or may not have had a correctional staff officer that had been working so hard and so long that he decided to take off his boots at the podium and let a homie, right, let the inmate, give him a good deep tissue massage and get in there, right? Get into the ball of his feet, right? Like, I got you, CO, don't trip, right? That may or may not have happened. That may or may not have confused your boy right here, right? What happened, Hector? Did that dude get fired? Nah, man, as long as you tell on yourself in the department, you're good. That's what I'm trying to preach, right? Transparency, right? Integrity. As long as you tell on yourself in the department, you're good. Right? That's a true story. It's a true story. Wow. Other wild things that caught me off guard when I was a sergeant in the TTA, the hospital area of the prison, inmates flat out refusing medical treatment. Flat out refusing, which is understandable. Dude wants to refuse. Can't nobody force you to do whatever you don't want. Refusing medical treatment to go out to the hospital for whatever reason. And the medical staff not having it and getting into arguments with me. He has to go out to the hospital. He cannot refuse in here in the prison. He has to refuse out there. I'm like, well, I'm not using force to send this inmate. I would tell the inmate too, straight up, like, hey, don't trip on me. Trust me, we are not going to use force to send you out to the hospital, right? So it was just like, the EMTs would get there, right? The paramedics from the streets, they're looking at us like, man, figure you guys' stuff out, man. We got to be helping the little old ladies that crash on the freeway down the road. They're looking at the medical like, hey, he's refusing. You know what? We do this all the time. Here's a sheet of paper. Sign this refusal. It was just out of line, right? Out of line. What else did I see? Inmates sticking, I didn't see this, mind you. I didn't see this, don't get it twisted. Inmates sticking objects in their, you know what, right? Right in there. Right down in there. Green beans. There was a guy that stuck green beans in there. I should have probably warned you guys with graphic stuff, man. Just self-mutilation. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't even want to dig too deep in there, right? Especially that deep. Just sticking things in there where they go pee, right? Not cool. Not cool. Here's a one that really blew me away. This I was involved in this one. On the yard, I had a good rapport with the majority of the inmates, right? I knew who was who, unless you were completely flying under the radar, and that's even cool too. I don't know you, you don't know me, ain't nobody bothering each other. But there was inmates where I could hold conversations with, right? A lot of them. I kind of know their backgrounds, right? You kind of know what's going on. One inmate in particular was very notorious for manipulation, right? The dude would try to outsmart me. The dude would try to outsmart me. I believe he was in the Marine Corps. He would always use that. Like, he knew I had been served, right? He knew I had served. Maybe he saw my haircut. Maybe he saw the way I carried myself. He would always show me his Marine Corps picture ID. I'm like, all right, this dude's trying to show up. This dude's doing too much, right? This dude clearly was doing too much. I told you guys this guy had wrote a letter thanking all of us for all the hard work we did during COVID. Within the same week, he turned in another letter saying we were all beating everybody up. Ridiculous, right? Just two extremes, right? Either we're being nice or we're beating everybody up. We're not doing everything all in one week. Doesn't that just crazy, right? For the record, we were not beating everybody up. Second of all, there was another inmate. I talked about an inmate one time that sat down on a couch, got real comfortable. I said, hey, get up, dude, right? He got too comfortable. But I had a good rapport. I had a rapport with both of them. One of them was trying to manipulate. The other guy was just trying to be extremely friendly, right? I get a call from the officer in the building. He's like, hey, LT, we found a weapon. I'm like, okay. Mind you, before I opened up an incident packet and did the whole thing, I always now verified that it was, in fact, a weapon. When your boy was a brand new lieutenant, I opened up this whole incident packet. I started almost locking up the guy. It ended up being a little screwdriver that the dude used to work on little radios or TVs, right? I was like, really, guys? You get overzealous officers sometimes that, I did it. I got it. So I'm like, the cop tells me, hey, I found a weapon, but something's going on. What is it, man? What is it? I'm in the middle of my coffee, bro. I just purchased some Uggs for my daughter on the Amazon, right? Well, I don't know if it was Amazon. You get my drift. So, look, I don't think it was his weapon. I'm like, well, tell me what happened. He tells me, right, that one of the inmates, not the one known for manipulating, right, not the Marine. The other guy was in the shower. He was in the shower. Mind you, these are two different races as well. These are two different races. This is in essence why I'm telling you this was wild. The manipulative inmate comes running across the yard into the building and tells the officer in the building, hey, check that laundry, check that shower bag right there. The inmates have shower bags. They have their hygiene, their flip-flops, their shower shoes, like their towel, their boxers, extra, right? So they'll carry a shower bag to the shower area or put it on the table while they go into the shower in the housing unit, in the building. That Marine manipulative inmate tells the officer, check that shower bag. There's a weapon in there. It's kind of weird, right? The officer, sure enough, checks there's a weapon in there. Here we go. That inmate comes out of the shower. Of course, they put that inmate in handcuffs. Hey, man, what's up with his weapon? That dude starts freaking out, right? Like, hey, I don't know what that is. Who put that there? That ain't my weapon, right? I said, put him in cuffs, put him in the holding cell, right? The one inmate they found the weapon on, right? Because I'm still gathering what transpired. I'm still finding out who was the participants, who was involved, right? It's not abnormal that an inmate would have a weapon. It's not abnormal at all. But this inmate was a programmer, right? I mean, he was a programmer, straight up. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. It would be abnormal that this inmate would have a weapon. I mean, the dude wasn't going to go bust a grape. He wasn't going to go kill anybody, right? As far as my knowledge. I'm in there. I'm like, hey, what's up with this, man? This dude is like, hey, man, come on, call me by my last name, Lieutenant LT. Like, hey, this, I said, well, would anybody plant this on you? Who would? And then it just, a light bulb went off. Boom. He's like, oh, man, that one inmate. And he mentioned the one. Like I said, it was a yard. I know who's who, what's what. He's like, that inmate offered to get my shower bag and said, I'll put it on the table for you. So in essence, that dude, the Marine, planted a knife in that guy's shower bag. And I'm right there figuring it out. Everything is adding up. Now, my experience coming from Sentinella is like, oh, this dude's going to decapitate this guy. This dude's going to chop off this dude's head. Now, he just almost got him more time in prison for a weapon. Had I not have the knowledge, had the officers in the building not known who's who, what's what, everything's kind of weird, right? It's not adding up. Hey, that poor soul could have got sent to the, poor soul. That dude could have got sent to ADSEG, right? Pending possession of a deadly weapon, inmate manufactured weapon. So I'm right there telling the guy, if I cut you loose right now, man, are you gonna go over there and kill him? Straight up, are you gonna kill him? He's like, no, I'm trying to go home. I'm trying to transfer. I'm trying to lower my points. No. He was upset. He's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm upset, but I'm not gonna do that. I said, come, dude. I was like, dude, I don't know. I don't know, man. I got a gut feeling. He's like, no. Like, I said, and then I was kind of like, well, man, ain't nobody know about this anyways. Like, I didn't report shit yet, right? Like, so, yeah, we got the other guy. We're like, what's up with this? And then, man, it was just, like I said, weird, upsetting, bizarre. The dude ended up confessing to planting that knife. It was just so weird. That dude had like 9 lives too, the other guy. He had like 9 lives, trust me. He was good at manipulating the system. Not me. He's good at manipulating the system, right? So I ended up cutting the dude loose. Man, yeah, those two both lived on that yard until that other guy transferred. But still, man, could you imagine the risk? The risk? I mean, that was a risk on my end, on the correctional staff's end, like taking a risk. Like, hey, we did not book anybody there. That's how wild RJD was. It was just wild. We didn't book anybody. We just cut them loose and just disposed of the evidence, right? Per policy and procedure, Sacramento. You ain't going to get me slipping. Anyways, with that, the message is, man, improvise, overcome, and adapt. I don't know, man. If you're not in Kansas anymore, what do you do? I don't know, Hector. You're the one giving us the positive message. Yeah, I don't know. Look, man, if something doesn't feel right, look right, or act right, man, maybe, just maybe, you should change your environment. Keep pushing forward.